Hey, so here I am with the third part of my interview with the traveling couple that I hosted. I hope you liked the previous parts. Now let's see what they had to say in the last one. And if you have some ideas, comments, whatever, write them to me. I was wondering, and some of my followers as well, how do you choose your locations? We were talking a bit about this. How do you manage?
It's very different depending on the situation. On this big trip, how did we do it even?
Well, I think we can start with the emphasis that we are having when we are traveling. We always try at least, and we failed more than once to travel overland. So this automatically reduces your flexibility. When we are in Romania, we cannot just say our next destination shall be Brazil. It's just not working like that for us. So the overland factor plays a role. But how else? I guess on the one hand, it's like a balance out of I went the second time towards Asia. It was a balance out of like seeking what I know I like. I know like what countries I really like. This is why we decided, and I kind of decided, hey Maria, we should go back to Iran. I was there more than once already, but I knew I love this country. So I want to go back there because I know this is a place I feel really great in. Then Central Asia was the adventurous factor.
Yeah.
I think in general, especially India was a good lesson, Thailand was a good lesson. From our traveling style, we try to choose the less touristy places. Because we are always trying to, it's one of the purposes of why we're traveling, to learn about some country, about a culture from like a deeper perspective. And it's always much more difficult to break through the superficial layers in very touristy places. So in Thailand, once an experienced traveler told me, hey Ben, get yourself the Lonely Planet and use it the other way around. Avoid the places that are written there, go to everywhere else. I was trying, it was working quite well.
So basically, both of you have the same idea. Do you want the same thing to go to the less touristic places?
Absolutely.
That's what we are curious. Like
Yeah.
the choosing. How
Yeah.
do you choose?
Mhm.
Like based on what?
In this trip, I feel Benny was responsible for the research of the area, and somehow I didn't like it so much because the surprise factor was not there at all anymore. We knew what. Well, not always. You know what. You know a bit of what to expect, and then it's really. I don't have this wow factor almost. You watch some photos before maybe. I guess we also try to find a balance between cities and nature.
Yeah.
And
like socializing and
Yeah.
also having like solitude, like to have a balance in this regard. I mean, this is something everybody's different in.
Yeah.
But what you said is something we discussed and debated often with many travelers about. And it is so difficult in these times, but at least I would like to encourage people to sometimes just drop the smartphones and disconnect from the Wi-Fi. Because I remember when I was heading towards Asia, my very first time, it's now about 6 years ago, I just had a very simple Nokia phone and a very simple camera, no internet access, nothing, no research about the places we were going. We were just hitchhiking blind eastwards. And to arrive in a place like Cappadocia in Turkey, this amazing, beautiful moonscape, and I just heard the name and I never saw a picture of this place before. It's a completely different feeling than if you investigated Google Maps before, you open the Lonely Planets, you see the pictures, you arrive in the place, and you just kind of confirm what you expected already, or in many cases you end up being disappointed.
I mean, of course, there is a different feeling seeing photos and being there, of course, but still, the surprise factor is completely gone, and I didn't like this. I really like to ask other travel. I never ask locals what to recommend because if you ask, they always send you to the really touristy things.
Yeah. Sorry, locals, but
yeah. So we really learned our lesson not to listen. because then you end up in a super touristy place full of domestic travelers, tourists, and you don't want that. So it's really good to find on the road other travelers that come from the opposite way and ask to suggest something. And many times really got really cool recommendations. Yeah, and we ended up in really amazing places like Nongriat place. And this I really refuse to watch photos in advance, and I think it's my most my favorite place that I discovered so far.
So do you plan your trips and like the whole course, like and where you are going to stay, the way and so on?
I think if there's something we didn't improve at all while traveling, it's the planning factor. We are as bad as before, and I think we are not even looking to improve.
Yeah.
So many times we just.
I mean, it's also a consequence kind of out of the traveling style. Like, you know, when we settle for hitchhiking or something, most of the times we just don't know precisely where we would end up in the evening, and we also do like most of the times this feeling that, you know, we see what happens, and mostly really something good happens in the end to us.
Yeah.
But certain things make some planning ahead necessary. For example, if we want to use couch surfing, you just have to write a request maybe 1, 2, 3 days earlier, and that's fine with us then. And usually we also have some general directions. When we cycled, naturally, it was eastwards, and we wanted to reach some milestones at a certain time frame.
Yeah,
and what was really punishing us a bit, and this is something often it's not talked much about, the whole season, climate, weather factor. As we were like slowly heading eastwards, the winter was coming in, and in eastern Turkey we were punished already, being in the snow in the mountains, and
in October
we had to take a train to overcome the mountains. We couldn't cycle anymore. We were just not equipped for stuff like that. So this and the other very annoying factor as soon as you leave Europe is the whole visa situation. That you have to plan a bit ahead, because we knew we have to be at a certain point at a certain embassy to apply for a certain visa to make it out of the country in time.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being in Europe. You can just really drift around and take it
or
easy.
In Southern America. It's also quite easy to get visa.
So another question is, which is the biggest challenge that you faced in your trips so far? What was the biggest challenge that you had so far in your couple? Like now we're talking as a couple.
I think it's nearly impossible to nail it down to like one specific situation or something like that. But it is like this general situation we are having, that we are very different persons. I mean, I hope we are a good couple, but we are very different. So when it comes to physical ability and also like how much risk and danger is still fine for like each of us, both of sides we had to make compromises. I think the biggest challenge for myself was the time when we cycled.
Yeah, for me as well. And the opposite.
In which way, like physical wise, like it was challenging, or in which way?
For him, I think it was challenging to wait for me and tolerate all my complaints.
For me, it was more psychological.
And for me, it was the physical part to really keep going, and to find the strength, the mental strength to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But other challenge, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it was this difference between us in physical, also when climbing mountains and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the physical difference is one thing. And yeah, I guess in certain situations I would have tended, if I was alone, to risk more. I remember like one of my dream destinations is and always will be supposed. Yeah. Neighbors. One of my dream destinations is and always will be Afghanistan. And I know it's quite a suicidal place to travel, but we were so fucking close, like moving around along the Tajik Afghan border for like 2 weeks nearly. And I knew, like, okay, there's like the Wakhan corridor, one of the few peaceful areas in Afghanistan with one of the most stunning sceneries. And if I was alone, I think I would have gone. And this was also the time where we had a serious fight. Usually we fight for nothing, for just really stupid things, but then we don't manage to solve the situation and it becomes a big fight, and we were about to split up, and our idea was I was about to cross the whole of Afghanistan and end up in Iran, and she was
supposed to meet in
cross Central Asia, and to Maza, no, where actually, we wanted to meet somewhere.
Yeah.
But in the end, I was kind of scared of letting her travel alone in Central Asia.
I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't be afraid to travel alone.
You were afraid of drunkards enough. And she was just so worried of me going into Afghanistan, which I could even understand. And many times, I think I made this compromise of not doing what I really want to do because I would be also scared of bringing her in situations. She would just feel uncomfortable.
Now, just a curiosity, if you can share one of the reasons of a fight. Because you mentioned it's like small stuff, and I know from my experience that as a couple you can fight from the most insignificant thing.
Well, I guess we just mentioned, honestly, I think the most often was during our cycling days, which always turned out with me with headwind, uphill, complaining, being angry. I said, it was only your idea to go, which is not true. I mean, I agreed, I really liked the idea, but it was always all the blame going on him.
That we started to go on bicycle.
And then he knew, okay, she's just angry now because she's in a tough situation, it will be over. But then I just kept complaining and okay, that's enough. No.
And I mean, I worked in education and stuff, so rationally I knew it's the best thing now to be supportive, to stay calm, and to kind of, not let this situation escalate. But what am I doing? I'm saying, why didn't you practice before we go? I told you, like, cycle a bit, like, improve your physical condition. Now we are stuck here on the fucking mountains. It will start to rain soon. It will be wet and cold and awful. And it's all because of you. I would be in Ankara already.
Yeah.
Thank you. Such things as well.
Yeah, and that sounds familiar.
Yeah. I guess most people know.
Yeah, we always had small fight.
Yeah, she always complains also I'm talking too much, by the way. Am I talking too much?
We will see at the end.
Yeah, not in general, but sometimes in some situations she's just not sensitive. That we have to go because we are starving or because it's getting dark or whatever reason we have to go. I understand he enjoys traveling, talking, but
social.
Just doesn't, and you're not sensitive for the situation. Yeah.
You partly answered this question. How much does it matter for you the reviews of the places of other people that visited? You kind of said that you just go the opposite way, basically, no? Or
yes and no.
Opposite from
Yeah, like it's your.
Yeah, if it's really, if everybody talks about it, then it's gonna be crowded. So we really don't like crowded places. We've been to some crowded places. Some have their magic indeed, but most of them you can't even enjoy it because it's hundreds of people around, thousands of people.
I guess what we learned quite quickly actually is to judge rather carefully who's the one giving the advice. So when we are on the internet, like when we see certain blogs of like cyclists who travel in the same way, hitchhikers, like people who have the same budget like us even, it plays a role. Or we meet people on the road and we immediately connect and we feel, hey, we get along. Then we listen carefully.
Yeah.
But, if we are just in some hostel and everybody's raving about some, whatever, like some lake where it's nice to go swimming, then we know if we go there, it's just full of people who think it's nice to go swimming there. And this is not what we are looking for.
Yeah.
Regarding money, I'm surprised we got more questions since we started.
Okay.
And one of them is if you earn the necessary money before the trip or during the trip.
Both.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think, I mean, because Ben worked for 1 year in Romania while I was still studying, he saved for, he said he saved his half, so to say. And then I earned money on the road, but I think because we had the backup, so that's why I think my motivation of also basking was a bit less because I had no pressure.
You should mention she was earning money by playing street music.
Yeah.
And she was earning very well because she's quite a good musician.
I think it's also because I'm a Western in the Asian countries where there is no concept of street art or street music in most of the countries. And then I'm there alone. People can't just get the situation. What is she doing there? It's something that happened to her. Her things got stolen, or so that's why it was good to have Ben sometimes, because while I was playing, he could explain the situation to people. And yeah.
Do you need permit in Asian countries? Like, this is a question everybody asks.
Yeah.
How is it with basking? Like,
yeah, that's why I say I'm writing on our website about such things, because people are curious.
So you answer this on your website?
Yeah, for every country, but on a general level in Asia, well, in those countries I've been, Asia is much bigger than that. So I cannot say for Japan anything, but usually because street music is an unknown concept, there is no rule for it. So,
okay.
So you have to bet on your luck with the policeman and to be nice with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Another one is, what's the craziest thing that you did in the trip?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one.
Well, that's something we didn't do, but we experienced. It was, I think, the earthquake in Nepal, the big earthquake.
Whoa.
That's crazy in a bad way. I mean, not adventurous. Indeed, it was an adventure, but not the kind of adventure we were looking for in Nepal. So that was really bad to see the whole situation, the aftermath as well. Yeah,
that was indeed quite crazy.
Yeah.
Especially if you consider we got overland from India to Nepal, and just in our very first morning in Kathmandu, we were just 1 day in Nepal. Our whole dream of hiking in the mountains was just destroyed because everything was going down the hill. Yeah, this was maybe the craziest situation, because I mean, this was a major natural catastrophe that we wish nobody to ever be in their lives, and just ended up to be in there.
For me, crazy was even cycling until Iran, because I had zero physical condition.
From where?
From Romania.
To Iran?
Yeah, well, we
cheated,
yeah. But still, it's a distance I would have never thought of. Looking back, I think it was, well, maybe not crazy, but brave, I would say.
Yeah, and some smaller crazy things, like things I just liked as crazy factors to spice up our whole memories, is like in Kyrgyzstan, we were in Central Asia, and we didn't enjoy hitchhiking so much because the country is immensely beautiful, and by hitchhiking you just pass by fast all the time. We couldn't get bicycles. What did we do? We decided to buy a donkey. And we decided it might be a very good idea to walk the country with a donkey, to put our luggage on the donkey and to just start walking.
The first step you do when you want to travel?
The first step would be to manage the situation you're in right now, which in most cases mean first get rid of your job and like really leave things behind.
Or whatever keeps you. Yeah.
And don't think too much about it. Just start doing a few things. And for us, it was an amazing experience when we were in Bucharest, and we gave away our clothes to like some NGOs, and we just sold everything away. Our lives became lighter and lighter and lighter. And then we felt, okay, we just have the backpacks left. We're ready to go now.
Yeah.
And then you can leave like with a good feeling in your mind, and not leaving like a burden behind, like a time frame. I have to be back at this time. That's real traveling then, not holidays.
Yeah.
this is more of a practical question. What's the essential things that you need in a bag? Like, but
Yeah.
let's go just to the most essential ones, because
Yeah.
this is a question that
Sleeping bag.
all the travelers get, but like the most, let's say 3,
Yeah.
5 essential, like the most important one.
Without thinking too much, I would say sleeping bag, headlight, and knife, maybe. As for 3, but I guess you need a bit more. than
And
3.
knife
Yeah.
for eating, I suppose.
For it, yeah.
As a
For-
tool for all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
as well.
And that was it. I hope you liked my interview. Honestly, I wanted to ask them so many other questions, but my camera filled up with information again, and it was already past midnight. They were tired. I was going to work, so we just wrapped it up after half an hour of recording, but actually, we talked way much more. For the Romanians, I will write some article which you probably already seen. For the English speakers, I'm trying. I hope by the time this will be published, there will be an English article as well. And I really hope that this interview made you think about solo versus couple traveling. And I really hope you will follow your passions, whichever those will be. Take care.